Welcome to Significant Brothers. I'm Cray.
I'm Chase.
And I'm Brad.
There's a quaint town that sits in the heart of West Michigan, just east of the lake. Amidst the bustling downtown, you'll notice a common theme that the buildings and sidewalks share. They're all made from brick.
If Holland was a player in the Settlers of Catan, it would have too much brick. So, when I was a little kid, my school took us on a field trip to the local Cold Stone Creamery. After telling us about ice cream, the local manager explained why this store was so unique to the Cold Stone brand. He told us that their store was so unique because Holland required them not to cover up brick walls inside their buildings. And as I grew up, I thought this whole brick requirement must be somewhere in Holland's zoning ordinance.
And for those who don't know, zoning ordinances consist of local laws that determine what land can be used for and where. Traditionally, this will determine where neighborhoods, industry, agriculture, what have you, will be. Each zone has certain rules attached to them. So that's why all the houses in a typical suburban neighborhood only reach a certain height, or why they are a certain distance away from the sidewalk. Zoning can be more complicated than that, but that's the basic idea.
Given this, you would think the brick requirement would be in the zoning laws, right?
Well, that's the thing. There's no law requiring developers to use bricks, which is strange to think about, that people would do this out of their own free will. Take Sedona, Arizona, for example. They have some of the strictest zoning laws in the country. Buildings there are restricted to only certain color hues so they complement the red rock of the area. It is so strict that the McDonald's there has teal arches, making it one of 4 McDonald's in the world not to have golden arches.
And that makes sense for developers in Sedona. It's the law. They don't have any other choice. And with Holland, it's not like business owners are passively conforming to appearance rules. But some are actively altering their brand to assimilate to Holland's brick and stone aesthetic. Take a look at the Courtyard Marriott downtown. Sitting at 5 stories tall and clad in brick, this hotel boasts stepped gables on its roof.
Stepped gables are typical of Dutch colonial revival architectures, which is pretty fitting for a city that prides itself on Dutch heritage, but it does not necessarily fit into the Courtyard brand. According to Marriott's development division, Courtyard should have, and I quote, design that is enhanced by smart, casual decor, which research shows next-generation travelers prefer, and it should boast a modern exterior. Now, if the Courtyard brand was trying so hard to cater to the next generation of travelers and trying to build with modern exteriors, why would they harken back to an architectural style that faded in the 1930s?
If you're going to build something on 8th Street, for as much as I've talked to other hotel GMs as well as other businesses downtown, they do like that brick facade.
We talked to a hotel manager in downtown Holland.
My name is Ian Kirkwood. I am the general manager of the CityFlats Hotel in Holland, Michigan.
Ian manages the CityFlats Hotel, just off of Holland's main drag. This building is everything that the Courtyard is not. Sleek, modern, and missing the red hue of brick.
There's a rival competitor down the road. Because they're on 8th Street, they have brick. And I think because we're over on 7th Street, we kind of can be a little bit more free with what we put up. But I'm pretty sure that might have had a reason with the design not to go with brick, because it just had more freedom on another street. So, but if you're on 8th Street, they like having that brick facade and everything like that, just because it adds to the personality. It doesn't take away, and it certainly doesn't clash. I mean, not that our building clashes, but being one street over, we definitely can get away with a bit more, I'm sure, with downtown Holland.
So we know that they, whomever they consist of, want Holland to be brick. But what is the precedent for this?
For that, we need to go back to Holland's origin story. A long time ago, downtown Holland was nothing but some village of Dutchmen and swaths of forest.
Yeah, I think when the Dutch arrived, they were, first of all, they weren't rich.
That's Dale Weingarten. He's retired now, but he spent 37 years working for the city of Holland and was the first full-time city planner, among other positions.
Secondly, they came into a state that was still very much climax forest, and forestry was the big first industry. So, while they may have come from a country where it was wood poor, and come from a culture where stone and masonry was the predominant building material, the abundant and most affordable material that they encountered was wood. So what you see is kind of a mixed early start to the community. I think initially probably everything was wood just for economic reasons.
It makes sense for inhabitants to build with what is available to them. However, when it came to important buildings, such as structures in Holland's Hope College, stone was a must.
Among those that had come from the Netherlands, that public buildings, colleges, universities were built with stone or masonry, and I think that set the tone for the college for the next 150 years or so. The culture certainly was one that said that if you're going to build quality, you build with masonry.
But history doesn't serve as a legal precedent to build with brick. So let's jump to the 20th century.
It was post-World War II, and the American dream was alive and well. New suburban developments, glossy malls, and automobiles to take them there assured a better way of living. Cities, such as Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and Detroit to name a few, started to deteriorate for a myriad of reasons. A loss of tax base, businesses lured by cheap land outside the city, and city housing that couldn't compete with tax-incentivized housing in the suburbs. Holland was no different. Staple businesses such as JCPenney started to leave downtown Holland to more promising developments like the local West Shore Mall.
Enter Elsa and Edgar Prince. In the late 1980s, they fought to revitalize a dwindling downtown.
We had a great era starting about 30 years ago of local industrialists. You know, a family by the name of Prince led it, but others followed along in terms of downtown renovation with a strong eye toward preservation of the original character.
Using their considerable influence on the community, they saw an opportunity to invest in downtown Holland and turn it into a place that everyone could be proud of. Together, they founded Lumir LLC. The main mission of Lumir was to preserve Holland's heritage.
Back in the 80s, downtown wasn't flourishing like it is today, and Lumir stepped in and began purchasing some of these buildings that historical buildings that were in jeopardy of being taken down or being boarded up. And the drive for that was that a healthy downtown is a healthy community.
That's Mark Kyers. He's the director of Lumir in downtown Holland.
Lumir's owner, the Prince family, had a large flourishing company in downtown and wanted to attract people to come and get great jobs here, but felt that the community itself, the downtown, needed to be strong, so they purchased some of these buildings with the philosophy to keep their brick integrity that some of these buildings that we have.
In fact, as of now, in just one block, Lumir owns 10 plots of land that don't have an existing structure on it.
So I asked Mark what would happen if I tried to purchase one of those plots and wanted to build without brick. Would they even let me purchase it?
Well, it's not for sale. You know, we have so much invested to this town that we want to make sure that it fits to the downtown, and it fits to the it feels like a downtown building. You know, for example, you look at the Courtyard by Marriott, and that was part of our property that Lumir owned that we sold to them, and we had great purchasers. The hotel folks were great, and we stipulated that the architectural design for this property needed to meet what we felt was best to fit into the downtown community. So we had to sign off on that before we were to sell that property. And if you look at that property now, it's beautiful and it fits in.
In short, no. It appears that downtown Holland is brick not because of legislation, not because of historical precedent, but because of private architectural agreements. The developers come to buy, landowners give their stipulations, and buildings rise with their brick facades.
So is this worth it? That people are restricted to brick because the landowner thinks it's best for Holland? And what do people like Ian at the CityFlats think?
Well, I can tell you that GMB, they're the ones who built our property. I don't believe there was any issues with people downtown. I mean, back when the hotel was built, I know for sure. I was just starting out in hospitality. I was a young front desk clerk. And there weren't a lot of franchises in downtown Holland, so I truly believe that being an independent property, shooting for that LEED Gold certification, it definitely brought a unique piece to Holland instead of maybe like we're a franchise, which had pretty much always been pushed out to US 31. So I can't speak for what other design companies would say. But I've met Elsa Prince. She's a very lovely lady. I've seen her at a couple meetings along with a couple of her managers, and very nice people.
Ian, Dale, and Mark all recognize that there's less freedom on 8th Street as opposed to 7th Street where CityFlats resides. However, they also all recognize that brick adds to the personality of 8th Street.
It's taken a lot of investment, a lot of patience, and there are people that have put money into downtown that I don't think ever saw profit from it. Could afford to do it and saw the satisfaction of Holland having one of the distinctive downtowns along the Lake Michigan lakeshore.
Ultimately, some architectural freedom is sacrificed in the name of uniformity, but it has made Holland a beautiful place to be.
Thank you to Ian Kirkwood, Mark Kyers, and Dale Weingarten for being gracious enough to let us interview them.
If you want to keep up with our significant happenings, please follow us on Twitter @SignificantBros or sign up for our newsletter on tinyletter.com/SignificantBrothers.
You can listen to us further on Podbean, iTunes, Google Music, or any other podcast services. Thanks for listening.